Hello everybody, and welcome back to the 5th Wings of Fire book review. Today it's on book 5, The Brightest Night, told by the perspective of Sunny the SandWing. And we left off with book 4, where Starflight ended up being blinded by the volcano as it exploded, and we also found out that the prophecy is actually made up, it's fake, and it's not real. Meaning that the prophecy may or may not happen. We don't know. It's not destined to be. And Sunny, at the end, was very displeased by this, and she ran off, and now we are in her perspective. And at first, we see her feeling guilty for running away and abandoning her friends, but then right away, she gets caught again. She's held captive by 3 Nightwings, Fierce Teeth, Prey Hunter, and Strongwings. And so they want to sort of take her and not sell her, but sort of maybe bribe the Glory or the Rainwing Queen because they have Sunny. But in that time, Sunny ends up escaping because they were gonna go to maybe the Kingdom of Sand, I don't know, to sell her. I'm not sure. I can't remember what they were planning. It's been a while since I read this book. But Sunny does end up escaping, and she follows the Nightwings to know where they are going. And she's not sure how she should take this being all by herself and alone. But this is Sunny's stretch of the story, and each protagonist so far has had a moment in the series where they are alone. So this is sort of Sunny's time, and it's really cool to see her perspective a little bit. She is not as helpless or as needy as we thought she was. Like, she's always this positive, optimistic, uplifting sort of dragon, where she was like the little sister, and she helped keep everyone together. And we are in her perspective now, and there's been times where Sunny does want to be a part of everyone and be involved, and the other dragons, especially Tsunami and Glory, don't really give her a chance. They think she's too helpless and can't take care of herself, so they need to take care of her for Sunny. And so, yeah, that's when we get into Sunny's mind, and she's actually more, like, smarter than we thought she was. I mean, yeah, there were hints throughout the books. There were some scenes in book 1. There was another scene in book 2 where, like, she hears the Skywings coming, and then they decide to hide. And at first, like, they all think what Sunny says is just a second thought. They don't really take it into consideration or anything. But we get into Sunny's mind, and it looks like she was the one who was on top of everything the whole time, sort of. And I wasn't sure how to take that. We didn't get to see much development from Sunny, and that was a little bit of a shame, but at least we got to get some clarification because we are in her perspective now. We can see her thoughts, the way she thinks, compared to the rest of the Dragonettes of Destiny. And so before I move on with the plot, I want to go over the prologue for a minute. Now, the prologue is probably one of the coolest prologues in the series, probably in the first arc, because it's on the perspective of Queen Oasis. And we are hearing about this dragon, this queen, this powerful queen, who was killed by 3 scavengers, which are equivalent to humans, if you're not sure. And we were in her mind shortly before she got killed. And it was really cool to see, like, she hates all 3. Well, she doesn't hate all 3 of her children, but she knows that none of them are worthy of the throne. She has a good relationship with Burn, which is interesting, and she suspects that Blister is going to be the one who's queen after her. And she says, like, in her mind, like, she doesn't have to worry about Blaze. And then she hears that some of her treasure has been stolen by scavengers, and she is ready to kill these creatures. And so she runs into Blister, and she tells Blister, because she wants her to be on her feet. Like, she does not trust Blister at all. She knows she's cunning and manipulative, and so she asks Blister to go wake up Burn. Blaze is just hanging out or whatever, and to help Queen Oasis kill the 3 Scavengers. So Queen Oasis runs off to find the Scavengers, and she thinks nothing bad is going to happen, even though she may or may not need Burn's help. And we all know what happened, so it was kind of cool to see the events that led up to Oasis being killed from her perspective. So that was cool to see. And then we get to part 1, which is called The Shifting Sands. And so, before I move on, to know more information about the book, for those of you who do not own it or want to get the installment, says one will have the power of Wings of Fire. Sunny has always taken the Dragonet prophecy very seriously. If Pyrea's dragons need her Clay, Tsunami, Glory, and Starflight to end the war, she's ready to try. She even has some good ideas how to do it if anyone would listen to her. But shattering news from Marosier has shaken Sunny's faith in their destiny. Is it possible for anyone to end this terrible war and choose a new SandWing queen? What if everything they've been through was for nothing? Buried secrets, deadly surprises, and an unexpected side to Scavengers are all waiting for her in the shifting sands of the desert, where Sunny must decide once and for all, is her destiny already written? Or can 5 Dragonets change their fate and save the world the way they choose? So, it's really cool how they summarized this whole series up. I do think it was a little bit rushed, because there was a lot happening. We start with Sunny being captured by Nightwings, and then she follows them, and they end up going to the Scorpion Den. I don't know, I can't remember why the Nightwings wanted to go there. I think they might have wanted to gather some allies or something, or turn the Rainwings in, or just to find ways to get Fierce Teeth to be queen, because they're not going to accept Queen Glory, a Rainwing as their queen. Yeah, the Nightwings, they're still getting adjusted after leaving the volcano. So they go in, and Sunny, she wants to know what they're going, what they're planning, and Sunny ends up being seen by one of the guards at the Scorpion Den, and we see that this character is Six Claws, and he is named Six Claws because both of his front 2 talons have 6 claws. So Sunny gets taken in, and she still tries to follow the Nightwings, and it's been a while since I've read this book, but she does end up, she goes with the Outclaws, and she turns the Nightwings in, and there's this leader of the Outclaws named Thorn, and the Outclaws are this separate set of SandWings who aren't really allied with any princess in the war. They're kind of their own thing. So, and they are sort of dominating the Scorpion Den, from what I hear or remember. So we see that, like, the Nightwings, they get caught, and we see all this other stuff happening, and Thorn really wants to kill some dragons. She really wants to kill Dune. She really wants to kill Marosier and some other Nightwing or SandWing. And Sunny explains to Thorn, like, hey, these dragons, they're already dead. And Thorn really kind of wants to kill them a second time because she really hates them. But I'm like, how does she know Marosier? I don't know. She knows Dune because we find out that Thorn is actually Sunny's mother. How convenient. And that's where we also find out that Sunny, we don't know why her scales look weird, why she's this golden color, or why she doesn't have a tail barb, and it's because she is a hybrid. And I find that pretty cool. And her father, we later find out in the book, is a Nightwing, an animus Nightwing named Stone Mover. And he's got a really cool design, and he's called Stone Mover because he thinks animus magic is a curse, and so he sort of like reversed the magic to affect him physically to where he slowly turns to stone the more he uses his magic. So he's like half dragon, half statue, basically. So he's really, really cool. But again, with the story, Prey Hunter ends up being killed because he attacks Thorn. Because they don't want to give away the information about how helpless the Nightwings are right now, because they're in a really bad situation. Even though they have a queen, they think they should have a Nightwing queen. I mean, they just lost Queen Battlewinter, so that happens. And yeah, Sunny gets to know Thorn a little bit better. And what's cool is that we get to see Kibble, and we all know that Kibble is a big part of the second arc, and we'll talk about that later. But Kibble, super cool. He is very on for protecting Thorn. He thinks Sunny was trying to plan something to kill her, and Sunny's like, what? No, I would never do that. And so it's nice seeing a character who we know is going to be a big part of the second arc. But yeah, that was kind of cool. And yeah, like Sunny explains the deaths of Dune and Marosir, and she like crumples up the papers and burns them. So she is very violent. And the plot again gets kind of fuzzy here for me, but there is a dragon bite viper that's on the loose. And a dragon bite viper is, I think, the only known snake to dragons that can actually kill a dragon. And this comes back later in the book. And so then there's another point where they kind of the Outclaws kind of want to storm the Burn stronghold. And so they attack and they fight. And I think this is the part where Sunny gets captured again, and Burn is thankfully not there because then Sunny would have been stuffed. And it's really cool it's cool but also very creepy to see Burn's like trinkets. Like, she has dead stuffed dragons and scavengers everywhere, and they all have like, they're all like deformed. Like, some have multiple claws, some have multiple wings. There's one dragon that mentioned that they didn't have any wings at all, and this might come back later in this series. We'll see. It's sort of a mini cameo, but yeah, Sunny needs to escape, and that's where we find Burn's guest. We see Queen Scarlet again, and half of her face is completely melted. And that's really cool. I mean, if you've seen fan art and you haven't read book 5, you do see that Scarlet's face is half gone. And it was really cool to see. I really want to see how they described it in the books, but it was like, they saw bone, like some of Scarlet's bone was showing, and it was really cool. She lost all her jewelry, and she doesn't look like a queen. She looks like she's a dragon who needs to escape a dungeon. And so that was the guest that Burn mentioned in the epilogue of book 4, and it's Scarlet. She is not dead. She is very much alive. And so at another point, yeah, Smolder traps Thorn and Sunny. I can't remember how Thorn got in. I think she escaped the battle and found Sunny. And because Smolder traps them somewhere in the stronghold. And so then Sunny and Thorn escape the stronghold by burning a key or something. And then Sunny, she wants to end this war. She wants to find the treasure that Queen Oasis once had, the lost treasure. And so she knows that she needs to find the Scavengers. Before that, though, she meets her father. And her father doesn't really care that he has a daughter. He doesn't really have a reaction. He has a fox, I think, that named Dinner that brings him food. And Sunny's like, you do not care that I was gone, that I may have needed you. But we also find out from Stone Mover that he was the dragon who made the Animus tunnels. And at this point, like, Sunny's at Jade Mountain because that's where Stonemover has been living. And that was also the dragon that Kestrel mentioned in book 1. Like, if you need me, send a message through a dragon from Jade Mountain. And I'm guessing that's Stonemover because we don't see any other dragon at Jade Mountain. But it's the tallest mountain in Pyrea. And that's where he's been living this whole time. And he helped the Nightwings, but he knew that, like, animus magic was no bueno, and he stopped using it and left the Nightwings. And, like, Thorn and Stonemover were in a relationship, and that's how they got Sunny. And then Stonemover knew that their relationship probably wasn't gonna work, and so he basically, like, abandoned Thorn, and Thorn hid Sunny's egg in the desert while they were trying to figure it all out, and then Dune took it, and he didn't find it because Thorn told Dune where Sunny's egg was located. And yeah, I do not think you should bury things in sand because, like, that's how Thorn lost Sunny. And so all that happened, and then again the plot moves forward. And then we get to see some scavengers. Sunny is flying over Pyrea, and we see this burned village. And it's really cool to see some of the scavenger world. Now, I think this is where the plot drifts a little too far off with the scavengers. They have had a presence in previous books, but I'm not that interested in them. I know they stole, like, Queen Oasis's treasure, and this could change the future of Pyrea. But, it wasn't as interesting. But Sunny basically orders the scavengers to show her where the treasure is. And, yeah, I think she was using a dream visitor to get there. And I think it was because she found a dream visitor in the wreckage. I can't remember how she got it. And she did find an obsidian mirror earlier. And what happens is if you blow, like, some smoke or fire and maybe ice, I'm not sure, to the obsidian mirror, and you, like, say someone's name, you can see what they're doing at that moment in time. So it's basically, like, not talking to them, but seeing what's actually going on with that dragon in another part of the world. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's also animus enchanted. The dream visitors are too. So we get a lot of, like, animus presence in this book. And I feel like it's kind of just shoved in here. Like, I felt like it was mentioned in the previous books. And we get to actually meet an animus, 2 animus dragons, Stonemover and Anemone. But I feel like it wasn't... Like, there was the war, and then there was this other thing going on. I think Tui did a good job handling this situation, but it felt like, again, in this book, like, everything was just being rushed. Like, the pace with the other books was a lot neater. Like, we start with the first book, where it's the introduction to the characters. Then the second book in the arc is sort of, like, the... like, world building, character development. Then the third book is, like, the same thing, but by the end of the book there'd be this big plot twist that would get you deeper into the arc. And then the fourth arc, it's just anticipation, hype, really, for the finale, which is the 5th book of the arc and the conclusion to the whole conflict. And so this book felt rushed to me. And there were, in part 2 was the one that fell out of place, and part 2 is called Burn Stronghold, so yeah, and then we get to part 3, and that's called The Eye of Onyx, and Sunny does find the scavengers, and she gets some of the treasure. She runs into 2 scavengers, Fluffy and Holler. That's what she calls them, a male and a female. And we're going to figure out more about them in Dragon Slayer, Legends of Dragon Slayer. So no spoilers about that. But in this book, Sunny wants, like, she's demanding for the Scavengers to give them back the treasure so the war can end. Because once they find that, like, once they unite the princesses and they decide who the next SandWings queen should be, the war will be over. So eventually, Sunny does come back to the rainforest where she reunites with her friends and Starflight, and she felt really bad that she sort of abandoned Starflight, because in the 4th book he confessed that he likes her, and they sort of talk a little bit, and Sunny loves him as a brother, not an actual love interest. And Starflight accepts it, and they move on. And I find that a nice wrap-up, because Starflight didn't need to make this whole big deal when we're in the finale here. And I think he's better off with Fate Speaker, although I do still ship Sunny and Starflight. And the only canon ships at the end of this arc are Starflight and Fate Speaker, as well as Glory and Deathbringer. Tsunami and Riptide their relationship is developing, but I think it might take some more time. And Clay and Peril are also going to need quite a bit of time. And Sunny doesn't have a love interest, she is solo, and I kind of like that. It's refreshing to see a character who just likes to be independent. And yeah, part 3, Eye of the Onyx. And that's the part where we see who the next Sandwing Queen is. And it's kind of ironic. So, with what happens to the princesses and the prophecy. So, Sunny sort of explains how we should unite the Sandwing sisters and end this war once and for all. So, she goes with Clay to the Mud Kingdom. And this is the first time we see Queen Moorhen. Because they're going to each of the alliances to get the sisters to come together. And it's the first time in 18 years or 20 years that the SandWings sisters, all 3, have been together in the same place. So, the Rainwings go and contact Blaze. Some other dragons try and contact Ruby to get hold of Burn. And then Sunny goes with Clay to get hold of Moorhen. So there is another nice Icewing, Mudwing war or battle. Because they're trying to get everyone settled to go like, hey, like, we're deciding the queen now, who the Sandwing Queen will be. And then we go from there. So Sunny dream visits Moorhen, who is resting at the time. And when she goes in, Moorhen is having a nightmare about losing her siblings in this battle. Because Mudwings, their siblings are, like, really close to each other. They have a really strong bond. And so Sunny tries to get Moorhen to cancel the attack or convince Moorhen. And Moorhen sees, like, Sunny's trying to end the war, and she's like, you're a small dragon who's trying to end a war as big as this. And Sunny understands that, but she's like, yeah, we're gonna try and end the war. We'll see who the next Sandwing Queen will be. And she's trying to, like, get dragons to feel like they have a life in peace, to feel like they can escape this conflict. So Sunny and Clay are in the Mud Kingdom, and Clay reunites with his siblings. I find that really cute. We get to see Sora, Reed, Marsh, Peasant, Umber again. So that was really cute. And while we're there, there's this, like, green glowing comet that flies by, and we get more information about that later. It kind of just hung up in the air, like, what is this? But we'll talk about more about that in the second arc. And so then the Dragons of Destiny and the Queens, except for Queen Ruby, go to the Kingdom of Sand. And then we see Burn, Blister, and Blaze. And it gets really intense. So Blister sent Burn a gift, and she's like, I have a present for you because now we're reuniting and having a queen come to the SandWing Kingdom at last. And so Burn opens the gift, and I picture a present for some reason, like a wrapped present with a bow. I don't know why. And Burn opens it, and there were 2 Dragonbite Vipers in there. She grabs one, and she missed seeing the other. Like, I know Burn isn't the smartest SandWing sister of the 3, but, like, she couldn't see the other snake. But that one jumps out and bites Burn's leg. And that is how Burn gets killed. And I felt like the lead up to that wasn't as good as it could have been. It was sort of just like, oh, Burn died. I don't know, like, I feel like Burn got kind of wasted there. And then Blister, who is one step away from the throne, only needing to kill Blaze in order to win, she tries to show off by she doesn't kill Blaze, but Blaze is, the odds of her of dying are very, very high. Like, she gets a scratch and she's already, like, screaming. Like, her scales are getting ruined or something. I'm like, okay, Blaze. But anyway, during that time, Sunny's like, we cannot have Blister as our queen. And so Smolder, his scavenger, who is named Flower, but in her actual name is Rose, she shows Sunny the treasure that Queen Oasis had, and so it was buried in Queen Oasis's skull, in her mouth, at the monument where Oasis was buried, and they dig it out, and then they find the Eye of the Onyx. And the Eye of the Onyx sort of, like, declares who is queen of the SandWings. It's also Animus enchanted by a SandWing named Jerboa. And we do not know what has become of Jerboa, but Thorn takes it because Sunny thinks that Thorn would be the best queen for the SandWings. And Blister refuses to bow to anyone. And so she grabs the Eye of the Onyx, and she becomes a pile of dust. There's, like, lightning flashes everywhere, and she turns to black dust. And Blaze, who does not care to be queen at this point, making Thorn the queen of the SandWings, and the war is over. So I liked that conclusion. It was really cool. And then, like, oh yeah, there was this other part. So while we were there, when the snake was out, Clay got attacked because he tried to save everyone else and he got bit. And at that time, Peril showed up and burned the venom out of him. So he didn't see what happened to Blister. And Glory's like, okay, I'm glad I'm not wearing that necklace. And Clay, he was unconscious at the time because of the venom, so he gets up at one point, and then he's like, what happened? And then the book is over. And then the epilogue was great. It's also in Sunny's perspective. We get to see Deathbringer, Fate Speaker, the Dragonettes, and this is several months later, and we get to see that the Dragons of Destiny want to build a school at Jade Mountain to educate the dragons of Pyrea, and I think that was a really nice idea. It was really cool, and we can already see where the second arc is going to come from here. So it's really cool, and I do like this book itself, but I feel like some things should have had like a quicker pace. Not a quicker pace, but I think some things should have been cut out because there's a lot happening when we go from the Kingdom of Sand to Jade Mountain to the Rainforest and back to the Kingdom of Sand, and we also go to the Mudwing Kingdom. There's just a lot going on in this book, and I feel like it could have been summarized maybe a little bit more, but the writing is still great. Sunny's perspective was great, and I do definitely recommend reading this book. So thank you guys. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye.